Okay, but Daniel, verse 8. Would someone pick that up?
But Daniel resolved not to defile himself with the royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to defile himself this way.
Daniel purposed, like Drew said, he chose. That word purpose means choice, but also he gave, he put, he set. Daniel gave his heart to God. Now he was already the Lord's, but there's nothing wrong with recommitment, especially under temptation or on a struggle or situation. Daniel sat down and he purposed in his heart with the Lord. And we're going to see the good things that happen from that. So Daniel steps out in faith. He knows God's plan of life, God's plan of blessing, God's plan of health, God's plan of prosperity and longevity. Daniel knows this. But he's in a situation where he's circumstantially, he can compromise that. But he purposes in his heart to stick with the Lord. Someone pick up verse 9.
Now God had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs.
And 10.
And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord the king, who hath appointed your meat and your drink, for why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sword? Then shall he make you endanger my head to the king.
Daniel will be disobeying the king's provisions. So the eunuch's afraid for his life or some sort of punishment. You know, they fear the king the wrong way. He's afraid of punishment, getting hurt. Verse 11.
And Daniel then said to the guard, whom the chief officials had anointed over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, please test your service for 10 days. Give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water and to drink.
Good. Let me jump back for a second to verse 9. It says that God brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. The prince was the overseer of Daniel and his buddies. He was there. Circumstantially, Daniel was in prison. He wasn't in a real prison, but he couldn't leave Babylon. So the eunuch was their jailkeeper, so to speak. Not literally, just circumstantially. Anyway, but the good news here, God brought Daniel into love with this guy. God can make you at peace with your enemies. God can help out a situation, put you in good light or good favor with someone who is naturally going to be your enemy. God can do that. Someone read verse 10 again, or 12 again.
These test your servants for 10 days, give us nothing but vegetables to eat and water to drink.
I have something sown or vegetables. But that would also include pasta, wouldn't it? Doesn't it ultimately come from a grain? So maybe they were having a spaghetti party at the bottom of Babylon. I mean, right? For 10 days. That's reasonable. Not 10 years. Oh, Lord, I'm going to go on this fast for 10 years. 10 days is reasonable. It's hard, but it's reasonable. It's reasonable. And you still get to eat. So Daniel's faith in verse 8 led to his works. That's a real faith. Right? It's more than intellectual. Faith without works is dead. A real faith will manifest in our works, which was what we can call fruit. And Jesus says we can be fruit inspectors. So that's how that works. So verse 8, Daniel has faith. Faith leads to grace in verse 9. God gave him favor with the prince of the eunuchs. Right. Faith led to grace and also to work.
Right.
So this all comes from God, from Daniel's relationship with the Lord. All right. Verse 13.
Then let our countenances be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants.
Okay, 14.
So he consented to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days.
And 15.
And at the end of 10 days, their countenances appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat.
Do you guys believe that? Do you believe they had substantial health improvements? Okay, 16 and 17, please.
The guard took away their choice food and the wine they were to drink, and gave them vegetables instead. To these four men, young men, God gave knowledge and understanding of all kinds of literature and learning, and Daniel could understand visions and dreams of all kinds.
So according to the record, these guys, Their countenance, in 15, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter. They were healthy. These guys were healthy. And God gave them skill, knowledge, skill, learning, wisdom, understanding, and visions and dreams. But Daniel becomes a vegetarian and God blesses him. Look at all the stuff that God gives him for that. Not just health, but mental, spiritual. Because God's laws are always for our good. We just sometimes don't like them, sometimes we just don't want them, sometimes we struggle with them, and so forth. Okay, 18.
At the end of the day that the king had said he should bring them in, the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar.
And next one.
And the king communed with them, and among all was found none like David, Hananiah, Mishael, Ezra. Therefore stood there before the king.
And 20.
And we're supposed to do.
Yeah, let's do that.
And all the matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in his realm. And David continued even unto the first year of King Cyrus.
Yeah. Verse 20, what did the king find out after the oral examination? Daniel and his boys didn't just get an 89% on the test and the rest of Babylon got an 87. Daniel and his boys, friends, were just stood out. Stood so far out because of God's love, which God can minister through faith. That's right. Obedience is the pathway to blessing. Guaranteed in the Lord. Guaranteed. He will not fail. Is the world going to tell you this?